What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. Today, I'm doing my official 2024 NASCAR Cup Series schedule predictions. NASCAR stated publicly there's going to be some pretty big changes to the 2024 NASCAR Cup Series schedule, and the schedule is expected to be released in August or September, and that schedule is expected to be really, really crazy. Let's go ahead and jump into it. The season is going to kick off on February 4th, and it's expected that the Busch Light Clash LA Coliseum is going to kick it off once again. NASCAR has raced the LA Coliseum the last 2 seasons, and there have been some rumblings and rumors that NASCAR was looking to maybe put the LA Coliseum as a points-paying race. But I think NASCAR has come to their senses, and I do believe they are going to have the LA Coliseum once again as the Busch Light Clash. It has been pretty successful the last 2 years, although attendance dropped from 2021 to 2022. So I think it will return, though, in the 2023 NASCAR Cup Series season. There will be a 1 week off week, and then there basically will have Daytona Speed Week, where, of course, on Wednesday you'll have Daytona 500 qualifying, then you'll have the duels on Thursday, then Friday you'll have the Truck Series race, and then Saturday you'll have the ARCA race and the Xfinity Series race, and then on February 18th, you're going to have the 66th Daytona 500, as has already been confirmed at this point. Daytona 500, the biggest race of the NASCAR season, one of the biggest races in the motorsports season, will continue on the traditional day on February 18th, on the Sunday, the base of the week of President's Day. It will once again continue on February 18th. Then on February 25th, the West Coast Swing is going to officially begin. And there's going to be some pretty big changes to the West Coast Swing. I believe that Las Vegas is going to move from the second race of the West Coast Swing to the first race of the West Coast Swing. Now, Las Vegas has hosted the second race of the West Coast Swing before, back in 2020 and 2021 as well. Las Vegas is a really, really big marquee event for NASCAR, and it will be the second race once again. Move back to being the second race. It has been a third race, but I expect it to be the second race once again in 2024. Then on March 3rd, there are going to be some pretty big changes coming to the NASCAR Cup Series schedule. Remember, I just said a second ago that Auto Club is not going to have a points-paying date. It's been rumored currently at the moment that Sonoma that could potentially be moved from its traditional June date to early in March. I've said this publicly that I do believe that Sonoma should be earlier in the season. Why? Well, I think the grass looks greener. The weather generally is better. Yes, they could have rain, but they do have rain tires for that. And I also think the aesthetic of the racetrack is absolutely pleasing. So I think Sonoma is going to get moved earlier in the year. I think it's going to happen on March 3rd. After that, on March 10th, we'll be racing once again at Phoenix Raceway. Now, Phoenix will once again likely host 2 dates in the 2024 season, as Phoenix has tended to sell out and bring a lot of fans out to the racetrack on a year-by-year basis. I'm not expecting changes to this event. They will continue to have 2 dates in 2024 and will once again host season finale as well in the 2024 NASCAR Cup Series season. Right after Phoenix on March 10th, on March 17th, we'll be once again racing at Atlanta Super Speedway. And it's expected that Atlanta will once again host 2 dates in the 2024 season. Atlanta, the last time we raced her, which was most recently, we had a very awesome and a really, really great show. And I think NASCAR is going to want to continue racing there twice in 2024. Once again, like it was in 2023, it will once again be a 400-mile event for the spring date. It's been exciting. It's been some pretty awesome super speed racing, and we'll continue on March 17th. Right after the Atlanta race on March 17th, on March 24th, we'll be once again racing at Circuit of the Americas. While this has not been officially confirmed at this point, I would anticipate NASCAR is going to come back to Circuit of the Americas. Austin is one of the fastest growing markets in the United States currently at the moment right now, and I think the racing was pretty good in 2023 until the end of the race where it kind of turned into a crapshoot. But I think this is one of the better road courses on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule overall. It's a really growing market. It will be the second road course race of the 2023 season and be the 24 season and be the 6th race on the Cup Series schedule. Right after that, on March 31st, there's going to be some pretty big changes to the 2024 schedule once again, as there's been a lot of rumors and rumblings that Bristol is not going to be coming back in 2024, and Bristol only have 1 date in 2024. Right now, it's heavily rumored that North Wilkesboro hosted the All-Star race in 2023, is expected to have a points-paying race in 2024, and it might end up having a race on Easter. Obviously, North Wilkesboro drew a really, really big crowd, and North Wilkesboro, with the crowd that they drew, I think they want to host a points-paying event once again, which will be the first points-paying event at the track since 2024. I expect that North Wilkesboro is going to host a points-paying event on Easter. Will it be day or night is to be determined, but North Wilkesboro will have a points-paying event, in my opinion, in 2024. Right after that, on April 7th, we'll be going to Richmond Raceway for the first time of 2 times in 2024. Now, personally, I see Richmond lose one of their dates, but Richmond is a pretty big booming market, so it's not a shock or a surprise that they're going to go back there twice in 2024. Richmond also had some pretty solid racing in the 2023 season. One of the better short tracks. There's been issues with short track package. I think Richmond is a pretty solid track overall, and will continue hosting 2 dates in 2024, including their spring date. Right after that, on April 14th, we'll head to Martinsville Speedway. Martinsville's hosted 2 dates for a very, very long time, and Martinsville has been a decent track. I know the last couple years have not been great due to the short track package with the next gen car, but Martinsville is still an iconic racetrack that's been around since the beginning. The only track that's been around since basically the heyday outside of North Wilkesboro, but nonetheless, Martinsville will make its return in 2024 as a day event because it will not return at night anytime soon. Right after April 14th, race in Martinsville, on April 21st, we'll be once again racing at Talladega Superspeedway for the first of 2 trips to the track in 2024. Talladega has been around that late April to early May range, basically since the beginning of its time when Talladega has been around. So once again, it will come back again. It's produced some pretty awesome and great racing overall, and will come back in the 2024 NASCAR Cup Series season on April 21st. Right after that, on April 28th, we will once again return to Dover International Speedway. Now, there have been some crazy rumors or rumblings that Dover might lose their date, but Dover has been on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule since 1969. And with Dover, even though SMI did buy up Dover, Dover Incorporated no longer owns it because Dover got bought up by SMI. I think Dover's going to continue hosting dates, plus the crowd on a Monday was really, really good last year. And I thought the racing itself was pretty solid in 2023, so I expect it to come back in 2024. Right after that, on May the 5th, we're going to head to the Midwest and race at Kansas Speedway. Now, I think Kansas should only have one day. I think most tracks should only have one day. But I will say the racing at Kansas with the intermediate package has been awesome and really, really good. So I think Kansas, with the racing itself, deserves 2 dates. But the racing was really, really good in 2023 and also 2022. And Kansas is definitely one of the better tracks on the schedule and will return on May the 5th. After that, on March the 12th, we're going to kind of begin a Carolina swing. And on May 12th, we'll be racing at Darlington for the throwback weekend. Now, a lot of people question why they're still doing a throwback weekend and early. They probably should do it for the Southern 500. But Darlington will have its place once again, and likely the throwback weekend is going to come back in 2024 at Darlington in 2024 on May the 12th. Right after that, on May the 19th, there is expected to be some other big changes going on with the schedule, as there's been a lot of rumors and rumblings over the last couple of months that Rockingham is expected to host the All-Star Race. Remember, 2023 North Wilkesboro hosted the All-Star Race, and I've been saying for a long time that Rockingham deserves a chance and a shot to come back on the schedule. Well, I think in 2024, a lot of those fans are going to get that wish, and it's going to host a All-Star event. It could become a points-paying event eventually in 2025, but I do think with how much people want Rockingham back on the schedule, I think Rockingham will return, but only as an All-Star race in 2024. Right after that, on May 26th, we're going to have the traditional Coca-Cola 600. Obviously, got the Formula One Monaco Grand Prix, then the Indy 500, and then, of course, the Coca-Cola 600. This has been a traditional event. It's happened on Memorial Day weekend since 1960, and once again, will continue and will return in 2024 to no one's shock and no surprise in 2024. Right after that, on June 2nd, we will head to Worldwide Technology Racers. This will be the third year of their 3-year contract in the St. Louis market. It would not surprise or shock me in the coming years if Gateway gets moved to earlier, maybe later in the season. I personally would like to see the race move to a little bit early in the year because I live in the St. Louis area, and the weather tends to be a little better in May, though storms could become a factor. They do have lights. I would love this track also maybe be a night race on Saturday night, but I understand why they made them make this race on Sunday, considering the TV ratings. But with how good the crowd was and how the market's been for St. Louis, and the fans have been coming out to the racetrack the last few years, this track deserves a day, and it will return on June 2nd. Right after that, on June 9th, will be the final race before the off week. And obviously, talk about how Sonoma is going to be likely moved to earlier in the year. So what track is going to replace it? Well, it sounds like at this moment that Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, also known as Montreal, is going to be back on the NASCAR schedule. But not just with the NASCAR Xfinity Series. It sounds like it's going to be back on the NASCAR schedule with the Cup Series for the first time. NASCAR said publicly they want to go international going forward and want to start going international after the success of the Garage 56 entry. They've been talking to Middle East. They've been talking to Canada. They've been talking to Mexico. And I think the first international move in NASCAR in a long time is going to take place at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. This track always provided great racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and I think this track deserves a chance and a shot to be on the schedule, and it sounds like that will happen in the 2024 NASCAR Cup Series season. After that, there's going to be a 1-week break, and then NBC is going to take over their portion, which will kick off on June 23rd at Nashville Super Speedway, which will be the final year of its 4-year contract. Now, I think there's a chance that Nashville could get an extension, especially what's going on with the fairgrounds and how that's getting kind of held back currently at the moment. But Nashville Super Speedway has had a pretty good crowd. They were sold out this year in 2023 and got a better crowd than they did in 2022. Nashville's a booming and a really, really great market and will continue to be hosted on June 23rd. Right after that, on June 30th, there are going to be some changes to the NASCAR Cup Series schedule, as Atlanta, which was usually on July 6th and 7th, is going to be moved up a week to June 30th on Sunday night. Atlanta hosted a really, really strong race once again in 2023, and it was really awesome and a really major success, and it wants to be a hot ticket for a lot of people at Hot Atlanta in the middle of the summer. It's going to get moved to earlier in the year by 1 week, and it'll be in the last week of June in the second race of the NBC coverage. It will continue being on June 30th. And then after that, on July the 7th, there are going to be some changes to the schedule as Chicago Street Course will move from the June 30th weekend to July 7th. According to the agreement, it's been reported by Dustin Long, the Chicago Street Course, if it is a return in 2024, will be on the July 6th to 7th weekend. And I think it will happen on July 7th because the Chicago Street Course event was very successful in 2023. But there could be questions if the mayor and basically the governmentship in Chicago will want this event to happen. If this event doesn't happen, I think Chicago has a chance and a shot to maybe host a day in 2024 because they have that track ready to go as a backup. But right now, at this point, I think the Chicago Street Course is going to come back in 2024 and will return on the July 7th weekend in 2024. Right after that, on July 14th, we'll be heading to the East Coast and racing at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. New Hampshire has hosted one date since 2018 season. It's really helped the crowd, and I think the racing has gotten better since they went back down to one date. This track obviously deserves a race on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule in that New England area. Weather has been an issue the last couple years at the track, but luckily, it will get another date in 2024, as it's been on the schedule for over 30 years now, and that's my day, and it will continue being on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule in 2024. Right after that, on July 21st, we'll be racing at Pocono International Raceway. Pocono, of course, only hosted one date the last year. They went down from 2 days to 1 day, which they were usually 2 days for a long time until last year in 2022. I think the Next Gen car has been able to provide some really awesome and great racing at this racetrack overall, and I think it's going to continue hosting great racing in the long-term future, be on the schedule, and will continue hosting a date in the 2024 season on July 21st, which is going to be my mother's birthday. Then after that, on July 28th, we'll be headed back to Richmond Raceway. Now, like I said, I think Richmond should only host one day, but I think that they're going to want to continue hosting 2 dates long term. Now, I think there's a chance this could be a later afternoon to early evening race. I feel like there should be one Richmond race, but it's a night event, but I think it could be a Sunday night race instead of a Saturday night event. It'd be one thing the NBC maybe want to do. I think this race could be also broadcasted on NBC as well, but I think that Richmond is going to host a date on July 28th once again. Right after that, on August 4th, we're going to be heading to the upper of the Midwest. It'll be racing at Michigan International Raceway. Since Michigan went back down to one race, the crowd has been excellent and has been really, really good. And I expect it to continue once again in the 2024 season on the August 4th weekend and make its return in 2024 on August 4th. Right after that, on August 11th, there's going to be another really big change to the NASCAR Cup Series schedule. There's been a lot of rumors and rumblings that the Brickyard 400 could return in 2024, and I think that is going to happen. It is expected that there is going to be a test that's going to take place after the Indianapolis road course race. It will be happening later this year in the middle of August. On the Monday and Tuesday after that, there is going to be a Goodyear tire test. The Brickyard 400 has been attracted. I think the Indianapolis, I know a lot of people are not a big fan of the Indianapolis Columbus Motor Speedway, and a lot of people are surprised we want the Brickyard 400 back, but I personally want to see the Brickyard 400 have a chance and a shot to see how the racing would be. I think a lot of fans really do want that, and I think it'd be really cool to see because it's the track race kind of similar to Pocono, and Pocono, like I said, with the next-gen car, has provided some pretty solid racing. So I think it will come back in 2024, and also be the 30-year anniversary of the first Brickyard 400, so therefore, I think it will officially make its return in 2024. Right after that, on August 18th, we're going to be headed to Watkins Glen International Raceway. Watkins Glen has hosted the NASCAR Cup Series races for a very, very long time, and I think it is one of the better road course races on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule. Plus, the cross size for these events have tended to be really, really good and really, really amazing. So, therefore, once again, in 2024, I anticipate and do expect that Watkins Glen is going to make a return to the schedule, and the 2024 season is one of the traditional road course races on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule. And on August 24th will be the final race of the regular season at Daytona International Speedway. Now, I've seen a lot of people pushing for this race to be back on the July 4th weekend, but from what I understand, Daytona really doesn't want them to be back on the July 4th weekend. And I'll be honest, I feel like this race as a cutoff event the last 3 seasons has been really entertaining and really, really outstanding. I was against it at the beginning, then moving it from the July 4th weekend, but personally, I think it deserves another chance and a shot to be back on the schedule in 2024 in its traditional weekend, not traditional, basically as a playoff event for the 4th year in a row. I predict in year number 5, it will come back once again. So those are all the regular season races. Now let's go to the round of 16. The round of 16 is going to kick off on September 1st once again for the Southern 500 on the traditional Labor Day weekend, like it's been since 2015 when they brought it back in 2015. Southern 500 has been a really, really big event for NASCAR. The racing is always fantastic. It's always incredible, and you may get a surprise winner, but it's between machine and man. You get to see the best of the machines on the track, and you can see which machine is able to survive the longest. That will happen on September 1st. Right after that, on September 8th, we'll once again return to Kansas Speedway for the second time in the 2024 season. Kansas, like I said earlier, provides really awesome and fantastic and great racing overall, and we know that they want to stay in that Kansas region. I think it's one of the better mile and a halves in NASCAR, one of the better tracks in NASCAR currently at the moment, and I think it will be back on September 8th in 2024. And then the final race of the round of 16 is going to take place on September 14th and as the second and last night race, Saturday night race, the event at Bristol Motor Speedway. And like I've said earlier, Bristol will only have one date in 2024. Bristol Night Race is always a big event. It always tends to sell out. It always has really awesome and great crowds. And generally, the racing in Bristol tends to be very awesome and really, really good. And the sprint race doesn't bring a lot of people in. So therefore, Bristol only have one date in 2024 on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule. It will be on September 14th. Now let's jump into the round of 12. The round of 12 is going to kick off on September 22nd at Texas Motor Speedway. Obviously, you know my opinions on Texas Motor Speedway. I like to see this track demolished or them repaved and reconfigured. But that's another thing. There's rumors and rumors that the track is going to get reconfigured. If you want my opinion, let's go back to the traditional 1.5 mile the track used to be where they reconfigured it before 2017. If they could do that, I think the NASCAR car would excel at this racetrack with the old configuration where they went to this new configuration. I think it would excel a lot better. Then after that, on September 29th, we'll head to Talladega Super Speedway for the second time of 2 races in the season. Talladega Super Speedway, great racetrack, great facility, no shock, going to be no changes to this schedule. It's been on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule for a very long time. It will continue in 2024. And the final race of the round of 12 will take place on a different configuration of Charlotte. Usually the last since 2018, it has been on the Charlotte Roval. However, there's a lot of rumblings currently at the moment that the Charlotte Roval might be gone in 2024. And it sounds like that the Charlotte Oval, it could potentially make its turn to have 2 Charlotte Oval events. Honestly, I usually would be against this, but how great the next-gen cars raced in Charlotte the last 2 years on the Oval, and with the decreasing ratings for the Charlotte Roval over the last 2 years, I think this is going to happen. I think it will happen, and there's going to be some pretty big changes there. And it's going to be really the last major change that's going to happen to the schedule in 2024, but I think the Charlotte Oval comes back. It provides great racing with how bad the ratings have been and attendance have been. I think fans really want the Charlotte Oval to come back for the round of 8-12 cutoff, and I think it will make its official return in 2024. Now, let's jump into the round of 8. The round of 8 is going to kick off on October 13th at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Las Vegas, they're a mile and a half. The second of 2 times they'll race there because they have an agreement through the 2029 or 2030 season. Las Vegas Motor Speedway, very solid racing, very solid track overall, and there will be no changes to this track on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule in the 2024 NASCAR Cup Series season. Right after that, on October 20th, we'll head to Homestead Miami Speedway. Now, if you want my personal opinion, I think Homestead Miami Speedway should host the season finale. The next-gen cars generally race really, really good at Homestead. Yes, I know Kyle Larson dominating this car, but that's because Kyle Larson's car was so much better than everybody else's. I think Homestead should be the season finale, but they got to get that facility in a better position and in better shape before they do go ahead and bring it back there. They can do that. I think Homestead gets the season finale, but until then, on October 20th, it will take place at Homestead. And then the final race of the round of 8 is going to take place on October 27th at Martinsville Speedway as a cutoff event to decide who gets into the Championship 4. This might be the most anticipated race of 2024 because this race will determine who will get in the Championship 4 and who will compete for a championship at season's end in all 3 series. Martinsville is a very, very great track, and I think it will do a really solid job providing some pretty good racing, especially in Xfinity and Cup. If they get a short track package better, the better it's going to be for everybody. But Martinsville, once again, will host the second to last race of the season. And then the final race of the 2024 season, the Championship 4 race, will take place on November 3rd at Phoenix, as it already has been confirmed. Phoenix, even though, like I said, the racing hasn't been great at the track, Phoenix is a very good facility. I've heard there's one of the better facilities on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule. If they get the racing better, I think it'll be a better championship race overall, and fans will be in a good position. But this also could be the final season and finale of Phoenix, as with the upcoming TV deal, we could see some pretty big changes to the schedule even after 2024. But once again, in 2024, the season finale is going to take place at Phoenix International Raceway. So, that is my official 2024 NASCAR Cup Series schedule predictions. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe to the channel, notifications on notify when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Links description below that, and comment your thoughts below on today's video. What are your official 2024 NASCAR schedule predictions? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Later tonight, if the race day will be held on time, there should be a NASCAR race review, but very unlikely with the weather how it's going to be. Then on Monday, if the race gets postponed, there'll be a race review for the Cup race at New Hampshire, and a lot of our content dropping on the way. We're also getting close to 2,000 subscribers on the channel, so if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to subscribe. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.